Greetings everyone, welcome to Just Advance. This game was played in European Club Cup, and with the white pieces we have Abhimanyu Puranik. I've already shown a game of his. Playing an absolute Tal style, sacrificing that knight on f5 was a beautiful game, but now he's facing off against an IM. He is Frendzas Panayotis. Apologies if I'm pronouncing it wrong, but the thing is that this game is an epic game and you're really gonna love this one. So without further ado, let's start with this game here. Abhimanyu starts with e4, we have e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, and bishop to b5. We go into the Ruy Lopez here, a6, Murphy's defense, bishop to a4, and just knight to f6. And this is the Columbus variation. We have castles, knight caps on e4. Now we go into the open Ruy Lopez, and here we have d4. Immediately just pushing that pawn, central pawn, and now just comes this bishop to e7, and here we have rook to e1. And this game actually reminds me of a game that was played in Women's Grand Prix 2025, and where with the white pieces here, the magician Divya Deshmukh faced off against, two Indian prodigies basically facing off against each other. She played against Vaishali, and they had this exact similar position where they went for the open Ruy Lopez, and actually Divya was able to win that game in 30 moves. And the game followed the similar idea. I'll just show you what happened there as well. Here b5 was played in the same game, just a rook caps on e4, and now just comes this d5. And even in that game, here just knight caps on e5 was played. That is standard idea. And here you could have also gone for a move like b caps on e4, but the thing is that here after d5, now just comes this knight to b8, and after rook caps on e5, you're not just doing that much fine here. d6, rook to e4, castles, rook caps on e4, you've just lost a bunch of material. And the thing is that my rook is very active. I can just remaneuver it there somewhere along the line once the bishop moves, and my position is going to be fine. The rook is very active. I just have to develop the knight and the bishop, and position is very fine. If you go for knight to d7, knight to c3, knight to e5, knight caps on e5, d captures, and the thing is that position is going to be absolutely fine for me. But here after rook caps on e4, d5 was played, and now just comes this knight caps on e5. We have knight captures, and here we have rook caps on e5. And right now we're just following that exact game that happened between Divya and Vaishali, and here b caps on a4 was played. Why I'm emphasizing so much about that game? Because the thing is that here, Abhimanyu is Divya's second, so basically they have, they know all of these games, they know all of these lines that actually happens. So that's why here it's also important to know all of these lines here, of these side lines and these Ruy Lopez open lines, because it's always important, because this game is going to show you why you can just completely mess up if you don't know the lines, because this is all theory for them. For Divya, for Abhimanyu, all of these games they have analyzed for so long. This is basically theory for them, and definitely they just crush their opponents if you don't know what happens and what is supposed to be played. Here queen to e2 was played, same move as in Divya's game, and now just comes c6. And now in this position you could have also gone for a move like bishop to e6 that happened in that game. And here after f4 you want to push f5 in this position, but most likely what's going to happen is you can play g6, which is the best move, and you can learn this right now. I've already shown that game. I can put the link of that game in the description below, and you can check that out as well. But here after knight to c3 you can go for a3, and after this b3 your position will be absolutely fine. But the thing is that what happened in that game here, king to f8 was played instead of all of these, and after this f5 here bishop to d7, and knight to c3, f6, and rook goes back, and after this bishop caps on f5, here queen to f3. And the thing is that the move that you have to play in this position after queen to d7 and knight caps on e5, the move that you want to play in this position is actually just rook to e8. Get the rook out, because you can see that the queen is already eyeing that, and there's some pressure here as well. You have to be a little bit careful. Queen can get overloaded defending everything, and this as well, this is also coming, so you have to be a little bit careful. In that line, bishop to g4 was played by Vaishali, and she got absolutely crushed, because the thing is that bishop to g4 doesn't work, because now just comes this beautiful tactical idea, knight captures on f6, and now that is hanging. There is not much you can do. Even if you go for this bishop caps on f6, then just comes queen caps on a8, and entire position collapses. There is not much you can do. But after queen to e2, his c6 was played, not going for all of this madness, not even developing the bishop, and that can get you a little bit behind on development, because that move is the best move in this position. And the move that you want to play is this, and then play king to f8. That's the line here. But c6 was played, and now just comes b3 in this position, going for the same moves. And If you play f6 now, your position should be fine because rook to e3 now just comes king to f7, and after knight to c3 you play a captures on b3, and after a captures bishop to f5, and here after bishop to a3 you can see that bishop captures, rook captures, rook to e8, and here rook captures, queen captures, rook to a2 now. And the thing is that your position will be fine even if you trade all of these pieces. Still white is the one here better, because the thing is that you're already putting some pressure on those pawns. Your pawn islands are just, under attack. I can get the knight into the game very early, and the end game I can just, grind and grind for hours to be able to, try to maybe, hopefully you make some mistake and I'll just crush you. But here after b3 was played, rook to a7 game, and now just comes bishop to a3. Just going for the same ideas in the same lines. In all of these lines, ideas are very much similar. You'll see that b3 move played along, you'll see that f4 move played along, maybe even f6, maybe g3, king to f7. All of these ideas are very much similar. Once you see lines and once you analyze a little bit of the lines, you'll see that all of these moves somewhere along the line is going to give you very nice advantage. So it's always important to study all of these lines as much as you can, because only then you can have some sort of an advantage. Once you know these moves, that these are supposed to be played in this, you will always look for them and always calculate them to be able to understand that it gives you an advantage or not. So here bishop to e6 was played now finally, but the thing is that in this position bishop to e6 does not work. That's the problem, because the move that you want to play is f6 in this position. Only then you can try to have something here, and it's just very difficult move to spot. But here just comes bishop to e6, and now just comes this bishop caps on e7, queen captures, knight to c3 now, and Abhimanyu from here onwards plays like an absolute engine. Here a caps on b3 was played, a captures, castles now getting the king to safety, but just comes knight to a4, and here queen to b4 was played, queen to e3, and here just comes g6. Finally just going for those lines, but here just knight to c5, and now bishop to f5 was played. You don't want to allow definitely that captures here, but c3 comes attacking the queen, queen to b6, and rook to e1 was played. Now I have complete control over the center and along the E line. Here f6 was played, but probably queen to d8 would have been a decent move to try and survive in this position. Here h3 would have definitely come, and after king to g7 you play g4, bishop to c8. Yes, it's a passive position that you're going to have to defend, but you just called for it once you played that bishop to e6 instead of that f6. So here after b4 now just comes this a5, rook to a1, h5, and after g caps on h5 we have rook to h8, and after this b caps on a5, rook captures, queen captures. The thing is that game will go on, but definitely Abhimanyu will be the one who's going to be better in this position. But unfortunately none of this was played. Here just f6 was played, and now comes trouble. Here rook to e8, and now here after rook to f7, the thing is that it's very difficult to survive this position. The only move that completely crushes you in this position is queen to f4, and now there is not much to do. If you try to defend everything and keep an eye on everything in this position, also asking for a trade, what will come is rook captures on f8, and after king captures, queen to h6 check. And the thing is that you have to defend with rook to g7, otherwise you're just getting checkmated, because rook is controlling this entire file. If you go here in this position, then the thing is that rook to e8 check comes, and you can just basically resign. So rook to g7 comes, and rook to e6 now, queen to f7, rook caps on c6, and here after queen to e7, h3 came, and there is no way you can survive this. Just completely this falls. I'll have so many pass pawns in this position that will be difficult to count, and yep, there is nothing you can do. But after rook to f7, here f3 was played, and now just comes queen to a7, queen to f4, and now just comes king to g7. But the thing is that in this position here, Abhimanyu went for the final blow. He goes for rook captures on f8, and it was on this move, on just move 25. Yes, you heard that right, on just move 25, that here Frendzas Panayotis resigned the game, and there is not much you can do, because here even if you capture this with the rook, the queen is jumping in next. Then next rook, you're threatening first of all to be able to pick up the queen. You have to defend against that. Once you move back to a passive position, you can ask for a trade, but it still won't help, because the rook is jumping in next, and your position is entirely going to collapse thereafter. I can just capture this, I can just capture this, I can next capture that, your entire position falls apart. And here Frendzas understood that, and that's why in this position here he just resigned the game. And Abhimanyu played this marvelous, spectacular attacking masterpiece once again with the white pieces, so kudos to him. Let's see how he performs in the next few rounds. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with some of these amazing games. Stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very soon. Thank you very much for watching.